Hello to all of you other strange people that like to watch furniture be repaired, of which I am one. Sadly? Yeah, probably sadly. This is Andy Wax, wood and leather doctor, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And what we have here is not an octopus. This is the base of a cocktail table, a very old cocktail table. Some interesting, intricate carvings, and belongs to a very nice lady. And unfortunately, the repairs that have been made on this thing over the 100 years that it's been around um, are not so good, and they're failing. So as you can see here, this guy here was put on. This is some kind of glue. I don't know what it is. It might be hide glue, might not be, but it's definitely not working. It's been nailed in. You can see that there, and that's also failing. Looks like all the joints here are really starting to go, and this one has gone completely, which is why she called me originally. For this video, I'm not going to video a lot of the boring stuff, hopefully some of the somewhat interesting stuff, but I'll tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my steamer and I'm going to try and scrape off all of this old glue, which absolutely is causing a major problem in getting this thing to reattach. I'm also going to cut off the dowels here. As you can see, there's one there and a stub of one there. I'm going to cut them off. I'm going to cut them off flush. Once I clean this joint up and it looks like it's going back together nicely, then we'll figure out what we're going to do next. So that's the first part, and see you in a few minutes. All right, so I cleaned up the first side with a steamer and then with a good old wood file. Scraped that down nice and smooth. Did the same thing to the leg. Cleaned out. I tried to put new dowels here, and I just could not get them to line up from here to here and here to here. Just could not get it done. So I'm gonna go to plan B. Plan B is, and unfortunately, I don't know if you can see it from there, and let me see if I can show it a little better, but well, every single joint, every leg here is just completely messed up. The old glue is pulled away. People have nailed it in, as I showed you earlier. Nothing lines up. This table is kind of a disaster. So I'm going to try really hard, because this is a very nice woman that asked me to fix this table for her. Apparently it was her mother's or her grandmother's, and it shows every bit of its age. So we're going to try really, really hard for this lady. So what I'm going to attempt to do now is I put a hole here, here in the front, and one here at the bottom, and I'm going to try to get holes to match here and here. When I do and it seats properly and it looks nice, I will then glue it with some good quality Titebond glue, screw it back in. The screws will act as a clamp, and again, like with the last repair, wood repair that I did, I think I did it on YouTube, we are, again, not we, because it's just me. I'm going to leave the screws in and just countersink them a bit. And now I know that this is really, really hideously ugly. Not to worry. I'm gonna epoxy fill this, stain it. No one will ever see it again. So again, I'm gonna try and do this on camera. If it doesn't turn out, well, then it doesn't turn out. But this is what I'm hoping to achieve right here. So I'm gonna give it a try. Let's see what happens. If my big head is in the way, my apologies. Well, it's one of these holes. Shucks. So let's see. Right, it's one of these short screws, and here's a screwdriver. So I'm going to try and just dry fit this first, because if you get the glue on there first, it's a real nightmare, because then it starts to set up, and then you gotta clean it up, and it's a mess. Don't need that kind of aggravation in my life. So, and as you can see here, I drew a line where I thought it best lined up to the original location. So, let's see. All right, the screw's coming through. Line it back up again, see if I can feel where the screw is supposed to go. I think that, actually that's it right there. So I think I caught the correct hole there. That's great. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, cool. That looks good. So while that's in place, I'm going to try to drill out the new hole right here in the bottom. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to give that a try too and see how it makes out. Okay, actually, I must have already done that one. Great. And it's still lining up nicely. So I'm gonna loosen this screw. I'm gonna glue it up, put the screws in, and we'll see what happens with the next one. Isn't this exciting? Talk to you soon, and let's see what happens. Okay, just a little success. Still just got done the first leg. This screw here and this screw here, plus a bunch of glue, means that this leg isn't going to go anywhere. So that's great. So I'm going to steam all these guys off, pound them off with a mallet, try to line them up again, or clean them all up, because you saw how dirty this guy was, and go from there. So again, next thing you should see is it should be standing upright, it should be strong, everything should be good, and then I just have to do some touch-ups, because as I was steaming this guy off, the wood got very discolored, and this is probably due to blushing. Blushing is, well, you know what, we'll talk about blushing in a minute, because, oh heck, I'm blushing. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, so overnight, let this dry. All the joints have been cleaned out, and I've also had to, besides gluing them up, sink screws in the front of each leg, on the top, and underneath as well, because really it's very, very difficult to get, especially all four of them, clamped up, because there are no 90-degree corners with which to clamp them. The clamps won't stay on very well, and the leg is going to pivot back and forth. It's just a real nightmare. So normally I don't like to put any holes where they don't belong, where I have to touch them up afterwards. I try to keep the integrity of the piece as close to perfect as possible, but in this case these legs really presented that that much of a problem that I had to do something about it. So now some Mohawk epoxy putty paste, just an epoxy clay that when you mix it up, actually it's just two pieces that you stir together. It's very shapeable. It's almost like silly putty, and it will turn out really nice, because you can sand it, you can shape it, you can stain it, you can paint it if you wanted. You can lacquer over it, and it's going to look as close to invisible as humanly possible. So I'm not going to do every single one of them on camera, because again, I think you have better things to do with your life. So just want to give you an example of what I was going to use. So once I've done that, while it's starting to set up, now I have to figure out, all right, how's the best way to shape it a little bit before it hardens. And if I don't get it perfect here, I can certainly get it much more perfect when it cures, and I can get some more sandpaper and some other things like that. But for now, this will just give me a good start. And let's see, we're gonna go this way, I would imagine. So yeah, it'll be really invisible when I get done. So I'm gonna just fill in all these while my epoxy is starting to cure. And when I get done shaping everything, I'll turn the camera back on and let's stain and let's get rid of some of this blushing and color it up and make it much, much more invisible. So be back in just a moment. Okay, we're back again, and everything's been filled and sanded a bit, and now we're just going to work on some of the ugliness of the wood left over from the blushing and from old glue and all that stuff. So first thing is you can see all this white stuff around here. Really, really ugly. Some of that is just from where I had to file everything down. Some of it is blushing, and I mentioned earlier that I would explain blushing. So to the best of the way it was explained to me is with blushing, moisture gets through the initial clear coat, whether it's lacquer or varnish. Moisture gets up underneath it right above the color coat and creates a cloud in essence. So you see all that moisture trapped up underneath because it can't get back out. And that's why table rings, white water rings, heat marks, that sort of thing. Those are all examples of blushing. Mohawk makes this product called No Blush. And what this does is, plus retarder, so what this does is it allows the trapped moisture to escape. It also retards drying a bit, so you have more time to work with it. So I'm going to give it a try. I don't know that it's going to work completely. I don't think it will, because this is really, really bad, so I'm going to have to cover up and color a lot of this stuff. But it's worth a try to at least try to get some of it out. So we'll see what happens. So let's see if anything happens here. It takes a few minutes. I think some of it's clearing up over here. But again, some of these are just scrape marks from where I had to try to get the old glue off. So I'm going to hit all of it with just a little bit and see what happens. So yeah, it's a tiny bit better, but not great. So I'm going to have to color it. So we're going to color it. So let's see what we're going to use. So as I was saying, we can adjust the color. No, not we. I gotta stop using that royal we. I am definitely not royalty. And there are a lot of grain lines and distress marks and things like that to put in to kind of make everything blend. There's also toned spray lacquer, which I've used many, many times before, which will also kind of blend everything together again. And so I think it's a bad base color. And it'll dry just a little bit darker as well, but maybe use a little bit more orange. Although that's looking pretty good. And as my father used to say, if you tickle it too much sun, it's going to laugh at you. And we don't want that. So I will go over this whole thing and get rid of all the damage that I had to put into it in order to save it. And then I'll put in just some fine detailing and maybe tone it a little bit. And then we'll have the finished product ready for delivery. All right, so looking great, I think. The last thing I want to do is hit it with a little bit of cherry colored toner, lacquer. I don't want to go too heavy because this is part of a set and the color will be just a tiny bit off. I mean, it'll be closer to this than it will be to this. So I just want to go really lightly, just want to blend everything together. And I also don't want to make it look too new because the other tables are not new either. And the top of this cocktail table is definitely not new. So I don't want to make it look too perfect, but I do want to spruce it up just a tad. So just a little randomness here and there isn't going to hurt anybody. I'll just cover up a little bit of the wear and tear throughout the years. Just a little bit. It's subtle, but I know it's there. And that really all that matters is, am I pleased? And yeah, in this case, I am absolutely pleased. I did not hold out a lot of hope for this table when I first started because every leg was just a wreck. And I wasn't exactly sure because of the curve of these legs. I was not sure at all how I was going to take care of this. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you all for watching and have a great day.